Welcome to the 61st weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we are fresh off the heels of our Tom Unger interview last week, where he told us all about the genesis of the Chill Out Con in Parsippany, New Jersey in October. What's the feedback been like for you from that Tom Unger interview?
From what I've been seeing and hearing, it's been pretty positive. I mean, he was largely an open book. I think he gave us a lot of good answers. We got to ask some of the listener questions. And again, since I'm such a Seinfeld lunatic, him going on record about Kramer to me was like the highlight. And I had people harassing me in messages about Michael Richards, Cosmo Kramer. Is he going to be a chill out? Is he going to be here? Is he going to be there? And listen, I'm not, if you want to hear the answer, you got to listen to the podcast, pal. I'm not just giving those nuggets away.
I mean, truth be told, I don't think Tom knows yet. I think he was being honest when he said he wasn't sure which show Michael Richards is going to be at. Look, I mean, Tom has promised another headline guest, a massive headline guest for this upcoming Tuesday, I think, which would be, what is that? That is the 2nd of September.
Yes.
I based on his public statements, I don't think that announcement is going to be Michael Richards. So it may come to a point where the budget gets too big at this show for a Michael Richards to appear.
Yeah. The Tuesday name, I don't want to say, I can't really say anything, but it's I don't think it's Michael Richards, but it's definitely something you want to tune in for. It is a big name. I think it's going to sort of if you're sitting at home, keeping score on this whole October weekend, like a Monday Night Wars level competition. It definitely is going to, I think, change that math equation a little bit once it's made.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. This is also our second week of our sort of rebrand and renaming of the group. Has there been any feedback on that?
It seems our growth is still good, which is great. And I've seen people posting reports on the group that I frankly have no clue who the hell they are. So I take that as a great sign of success, of our rebrand sort of catching the attention of people that maybe didn't know what we were prior to that and now joining the fun. So
it is and has been and will be strange to me and exciting to me to see strangers come into these groups because of how Marked Out started with people who all knew each other. That every time we can welcome in strangers is the wrong word, but you know what I mean, different outsiders, new people to the posting in the group, and every time posts in the group get reach outside of the expand the reach of the group. That's always interesting to me to see how that happens, and the number of people that see the posts continues to climb each week. So there's just a lot of visibility. If you post your reports on Marked Out, there's a good chance that a lot of people are going to see them.
Yeah, if you value likes and getting viral recognition, this is the place to post your reports. And just to make Class 316 whimper from his dark, lack of air conditioned room where he's listening to this podcast, it's really, I think, liberating, at least for me. We created Marked Out. I loved Marked Out, and it was sad to see the whole message board system sort of collapse. And it just not really being a thing anymore, and just sort of watching it wither away. And I kind of view this as those cheesy sci-fi movies where you sort of could transfer your consciousness from your decaying old body into either a cyborg or just a new young shell. To me, that's what we're doing right now. So it's kind of fun to see the concept of Marked Out still working. And just watching it grow with algorithms and stuff. I mean, think about what kind of algorithms were we working with in 2012? It's completely different, and it's really just fun.
At best, we were trying to get to the top of a Google search, right? With SEO stuff, and it's just that's it. You're lucky if you get to the top of a Google search. That's one of those things that. I still don't believe fundamentally that Facebook is the perfect fit for the kind of community we want to have, but I think it's the best available for now. And I'm curious, like, where this goes in 5 or 10 years, or where technology takes us as far as the features of the group. But right now, the group is humming along. I think it's great. I love every time we see new people enter the fray, whether it's new promoters posting their announcements, or new fans posting their collections. Where we saw a couple of those this week, 2 different ones this week. And also, new people posting reports, kind of dipping their toe in the water. Because you remember back in the day, a lot of people can speak to this, that the first time you posted a report on Marked Out, it was a little bit nerve-wracking to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an entire process of, first of all, you want to make a report that's interesting, gets engagement, that you're not going to get, like, especially back in the old Marked Out days, you don't want to get made fun of for your report. But it's also just tricky. It's tricky on a technological level. It's a pain in the ass. You have to upload the things. If then you do it wrong, and the photo would be like, your entire screen would be like your right nostril, unless you really cleaned your nose well before that signing, you don't need the whole the whole board looking up your nose. It was a pain in the ass. And this, Facebook is a breeze for this type of thing.
Yep. And so I remember that was always like, it was posting a report. It was always like a high pressure situation. So now I think that it's much lower pressure, but it's still, there are people, you could see the high effort posters do better numbers. That's just true. And it's funny to see that, because you see it really happening in real time, so I do enjoy that.
Yeah, honestly, it's a bit, I wouldn't have been so sure in this era of just like swiping and, reels and shorts and all these little like quick ingestions of content, that people would actually want to read like paragraphs. But it's true. The people that post a report, and I love all reports, but when someone just says, hey, here's my photos from Tuesday, and posts them, there are significantly different levels of viral. Usually a lack of viral in those cases. And when someone like Zach or Vinny gives you a really fleshed out, thoughtful, well-written report, it really is off to the races. So I guess kudos to the internet for still actually like reading things, and not just reading like a line or a made-up fact on Instagram and taking it as like, scientific data.
Yeah, so again, this week, because we're in the end of summer, lull a little bit. There's not too much that went on, but you continue your buying spree. I've mentioned this before, but it's kind of funny that we share the Marked Out your eBay email, so I always get to like peep on your eBay purchases. And those continue to roll, and you continue to amass more things. And so but you do have a kind of a cool purchase that you can talk about this week.
Yeah. Since I thought obviously that, a steroid abusing man who dropped on his ass 16,000 times with leg drops was going to live to be 100. That was just the crazy delusional thinking I had. One of the many items that I sort of punted for a later date was a Pontiac Silverdome seatback signed by the Hulkster. And as I talked about, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, how you and I had that little quick back and forth where you feel if something isn't the greatest of all time, like that you just can't be bothered to have it. And I kind of look at things the other way, and I'm just, I recognize my limitations and my cheapness and whatever else. And the Pontiac Silverdome seats, when Hulk was alive, if you brought it in front of him or bought it from him or whatever, he would put all this stuff on it. The attendance numbers, Andre was slammed, and he filled it up, and it looked sick. And since he died, like, honestly, his market, which we've talked about a little bit, but his market has not really gone crazy. There was so much out there. Most of the stuff is sort of in the same range. But it's the high-end elite stuff, which is always the case, that kind of goes to another level and sits. And those seatbacks done like that are like, $2,000 pieces, $1,500 pieces. I'm not dropping that right now. I have too many Hasbros to buy of irrelevant C-list wrestlers, to spend $1,500 on something truly legendary. So I bought this one that was dual certified with TriStar and PSA. Hulk signed it at that Illinois appearance. I think that was the one that didn't Hulk either get COVID from that or like spread COVID? Wasn't he like a super spreader? Something happened.
I remember reading something about that, but that also could have been like a meme. It was tough to say.
Yeah. Well, in any case, it was that event in Illinois, and that's where it was signed. Big, nice signature done in black paint. Looks awesome. It is currently on a shelf stacked on top of my Shea Stadium seat back that I haven't gotten signed yet. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it, long term. But I envision some sort of a shadow box maybe next to my WrestleMania 3 poster. That's like a 12 by 18. I don't know. Or it'll stay on a shelf.
I was at Hobby Lobby the other day. This is a whole saga. I was trying to get frames. I ordered frame. This is a whole thing. I ordered frames from Michaels to try and I was going to try and display some stuff. And Michaels said it was in stock, and then it wasn't in stock, and I got a cancellation notice, which nothing is more annoying than that. And then I ordered them from Amazon next, and then I ordered them from Amazon, and the frames arrived broken. So I'm like, of course. So then, so Michael's canceled, Amazon broken. Then I went to Hobby Lobby to try and buy them there, and Hobby Lobby did not have the kind of frames that I wanted, but they do have some pretty good shadow boxes for pretty low price. So that was a weird way of shoehorning in that you should check out Hobby Lobby if you're looking at shadow boxes. I'm talking like cheap, like $20. For nice big shadow. Yeah, you should definitely look it up. Definitely look into it. I was shocked at how low they were, and they're running like 50% off there. I don't know if it's always like that. Some of these places always have like a sale price that's always running, Yeah,
I wouldn't even care on something like this. I wouldn't even need the UV resistant glass because I mean, listen, I think I could spray aerosol cans as could the rest of my community for the next 50 years straight. And I mean, this black paint is not fading from sun through my window. So
right. It's. I would definitely check into that. Just something that will hold it nice, and you can have it, hanging on your wall. Lord knows the amount of
Star will love that.
Yeah, definitely. Sweaty asses that have been in that chair for all of eternity. I wonder how deeply those were cleaned before they were signed. My guess is not that. So,
well, to be fair, this is the seat back, not the seat bottom. So I'm getting back and like, back sweat, not ass sweat.
Well, also plumber ass sweat too.
Yeah. But Star thinks all these seat backs are gross. Like whenever
I
mean, she humors me with a lot of the stuff I show her, but she's like, I don't want to touch that. That's nasty. So she thinks they're disgusting. So
I'm on that train. I was never into that kind of thing. But I do think the Hulk seat backs look cool. So we do have a report here. My brother was at this is kind of funny. So there's a guitarist from the band Polyphia. The guy's name is Tim Henson. So of course, obvious jokes there. And he ran some kind of guitar clinic at this place called the Music Zoo. And so my brother was thinking, well, it's a small venue. It was an inexpensive thing. There would probably be some kind of opportunity for a meet and greet, something. They were claiming like a group photo for everyone. So he was hoping for some kind of upgrade. They did say in the ads that you were not allowed to bring your own guitars to be signed, but that you could purchase like a raffle to have to win one of their signed guitars. So he gets there, and it's only like $25 a ticket. And I guess the bigger point was there was no opportunity for autographs or photo ops with anyone. There was almost no merchandise. And so, because my brother is always, he likes to give me feedback on these shows, So one of the things he always says is, but I don't understand why, because I've gone on these rants before about musicians and how musicians are so hard to get a hold of and they're so hard to set things up with. And there's like dozens of musicians I would love to set something up with, but they're just so hard to get. And my brother says he doesn't understand that. And I guess he saw firsthand that, this guy, there was $25 a ticket for 150 attendees. That's under $4,000. And so you have this rabid fan base there where you could probably generate 2 to 3 times that amount in merchandise, and yet they just don't do it. And so it's really, really challenging, and it will continue to be challenging, except for frickin' Premier Collectibles, who seems every week to add a new band to their list of bands that they're selling signed albums from. I mean, it's actually hard to keep track of them all. Weeks ago, I was like making sure to list every week all the new bands that they brought about, or that they brought into the fold. But every week there's more. There's so many now. So this is a thing. Clearly, all that the management's talking to each other. I think Premiere is paying a pretty decent guarantee to get these done. And there's no options. There's no send-ins. It's just, one record basically being signed. So I think musicians across the board are missing opportunities to get into this whole game.
They got to learn from pro wrestlers how to make money. I mean, I would argue that for a lot of these musicians, they probably have loyaler fan bases than a lot of our truly carny pro wrestlers out there, like a Tony Atlas or I don't want to say Sergeant Slaughter because he's pretty iconic, but the wrestlers are sort of, especially the older generation, they're probably not wowing you with school transcripts, and half of them were high and drunk on a perpetual basis. But they always had their finger sort of on the pulse of the fan with money in their pocket. And they sort of had like an innate way of just knowing how to get it from them. And it seems like these musicians just don't even care to try. I don't get it. I really don't.
And it's really weird. It's really weird because Chiller Theater frequently has musicians, right? They had like Peter Criss, or they would have Ace Frehley, or some of the Kiss, basically the Kiss guys. The Kiss guys get it, but beyond that, and once in a while you'll see like Scott Ian from Anthrax come out, or the guy from Ice Nine Kills. But it's just uncommon across the board.
It's the face paint. That's what it is. If you wear enough face paint, it like seeps into your brain. And you figure out how to make money like a pro wrestler.
Maybe that's the answer. I didn't see the Henry Winkler story. Can you explain it?
I don't even know if I could fully explain it, but it was largely just a photo where a fan brought a actual like full-sized casket to Henry Winkler. He was doing some sort of an outside appearance. I don't know where the hell it was. Hopefully not at like a cemetery, because then it would make more sense. But he brought a casket to be autographed. So Henry Winkler, being Henry Winkler, he signed it, and he threw in a rest in peace inscription. And I admittedly did not research this super hard, so maybe the casket owner came forward and explained. If I was going to guess what this is, this lunatic probably bought like a Costco casket and is now going to travel around with this, and this is his ultimate project. Think about it. You can't bring your autograph collection with you when you die. That's what everyone always says. The family's going to have to sell it. Well, this guy, if he gets his casket signed, he's taking it with him. I mean, I feel
like we'll be throwing 8x10s in Jerry's casket or Class's casket. So I think you can bring some.
Listen, I think by the time when Jerry dies, there won't even be a casket. It'll just be a garbage bag of like remains by the time they find him in that landfill.
So in the news in the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot more stories about celebrities getting stalked or harassed. These stories all kind of came out at once, and we know, every 6 months or so you get one of these stories about people getting harassed. But it felt like there was a rapid fire of them in recent weeks about the hobby. So first, I guess the first one in this sequence was Audra McDonald from Broadway, and her claim to me was kind of hard to follow, but she claimed that a fan was waiting at the back door of a theater from the stage door, and that she basically blanked and didn't give what the fan asked for, and so the fan followed her home.
Yes, that was basically it. What I'd like to know is how far was her residence from the theater, and I understand that like following someone home, like there really doesn't need to be any other like detail to sort of like weigh if that's normal or not, because it's not. But she tried to make the entire thing sound kind of like just bad, and I suppose in normal circles it is. But anyone that's ever stalked Broadway, there are theaters and there's talent that they just don't use the front door. They don't. There's the rail for the playbill people, and there's certain people that just won't use that door. And perhaps that should be the sign. And the if you are truly a polite and nice person, you would say, well, clearly they don't want to be bothered. But I mean, if you're stalking Broadway, especially when it's like the dead of winter, you're not all there. Since believe me, I've done it. So you're not really thinking that that politely. So you go to that back door, and oftentimes they'll stop. It's not even like you're really like chasing them down. If you see them, they'll do it. They just try to avoid the majority of the crowd. So I suppose this person followed her after that. Now, maybe this residence was 2 blocks away or a block and a half away, and they were just trying a breakdown. You've probably never done a breakdown, but you follow a bit sometimes. You keep trying to talk them into it. So maybe it was that, and she was home in 2 blocks, and his breakdown, all of a sudden he's at her front door and didn't realize it. Or he followed her 20 blocks creepily, really creepily. I don't know. But, it's not a great look.
My question is, it's New York City, right? So when someone is leaving, how can you be sure they're going home? Maybe they were like going to Chipotle, and you don't really know if they're going home, and then so you wind up at their door. You have that one. Then you have Spade. David Spade was doing a podcast or something or some interview, and he was complaining. David Spade's a little bit of a lunatic. That's always been true. I used to listen to his interviews on Stern. He's a weird guy because he's a little bit self-serious. He takes himself. You'd think for a comedian, you'd think like when you hear him talk, you'd think he'd be more like Norm Macdonald, who didn't take anything very seriously. But Spade is the opposite. He takes things very almost like a Bill Maher or something like that, who takes things too seriously. And so, like the way Spade was telling the story, you'd think it was a joke, but then you realize he's serious by the end. But anyway, he makes the claim that he was being followed home by graphers who were very rowdy and trying to get his autograph. And then I guess they pulled behind him into his driveway or pulled into his complex, and he told them that he felt threatened and he would get his gun or something in response, or he felt like he ought to have gotten his gun. It was unclear, and the way he told it was unclear whether he actually said that to the graphers or he was just saying it.
I don't think he did, but I agree it was unclear.
That he felt like he should have had a gun with him or something like that, which is weird because I don't think a person can credibly claim that they thought a person who was following them to try and get their autograph would be a credible threat to their life, which is, of course, the legal standard for using a weapon with deadly force, is that there's a credible threat to your life or you feel unsafe. That's just preposterous that someone is asking you for your autograph poses a credible threat to your life. And so I did think this is one of those things that it highlights Spade's self-importance. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I feel like he probably dialed this up a little bit to give himself a cool story on a podcast. I'm not going to act like David Spade is a nobody, because I actually would quite like David Spade, not enough to follow him through like the Hollywood Hills to his home, but I would like David Spade. I think David Spade really should be a natural for cons. I think he'd be a perfect name. I think he could like sort of headline a chiller. I think he could hold his own in like the middle of a card of like a fan expo. I guess he's probably although he's actually pretty, from what I've seen in pictures, he seems pretty gettable under normal circumstances. So
he's a classic one per at the door.
Yeah. I feel like he should do cons. I would love to get him, but yeah, this all sounds a little crazy. Like, what they're doing. You could be fuming and pissed at the idea that they're invading your privacy. Absolutely. But I mean, I think to say I felt scared enough that I should get my gun is a little wild. I'm going to assume he's just putting on the bluster and the gaga on the airwaves to deter other graphers from doing this. But I mean, think about it. We've seen Gio knocked out cold by Migos security. Like, graphers have been, Tom Hanks almost killed. It was Cameron, I think, that actually bumped his wife. But Tom Hanks almost killed somebody. I mean, graphers are not easily deterred. That's like the nature of graphers. So, I mean, I don't think David Spade with a gun is really going to scare anyone off. But I'm going to hope he wasn't truly wanting his firearm in that situation. Because like you said, they're not going to kill you. They're just being inappropriate and creepy. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's really important for sort of as a general rule for people to not be insane. And I know we live in a society now where that's difficult because, being insane is rewarded with attention in ways that it hadn't been in the past. But yeah, I think that's a golden rule. If graphers should not be insane, but also celebrities should not be insane either. Where they claim they need a gun. I find the whole thing. I know a lot of people are saying, who are these rabid Spade fans who are like, following him to the ends of the earth. I mean, look, I imagine Spade does have a fan base that is decent, right? For me, he's a fixture from SNL. He's a fixture in the Sandler movies. He's done a bunch of roasts and everything, but certainly he's not to go with our discussion from the other day. He's certainly not an A-lister. He's a B-lister at best. And so it's like, I think he needs to relax. I think,
maybe it's a lot of people with incomplete Tommy Boy pieces that they got Farley on the original one sheets, and they just need to complete them.
Yeah, I mean yeah. Honestly, maybe that's what it is. Because Spade's star was brightest 30 years ago, so he needs to just relax. And then it culminated in a tweet by WWE superstar Rhea Ripley from actually today, this morning, where she tweeted. I guess there was an incident where they're in Paris right now. They're in France, and I guess she was being swarmed by legions of excited Frenchmen. And so she tweeted, "Remember, we are people. Do not swarm me or anyone like a pack of rabid zombies. No one should ever be pushed up against an Uber driver's door and completely mobbed like I just experienced. Use common courtesy and humanity. No means no. WTF." So, I mean, I understand. I actually don't. I can't understand. I can't even imagine what it's like to walk around being Rhea Ripley in 2025. I can't, because I imagine it must be stressful walking around being her. She's very physically recognizable. She's a massive star. She has this, I imagine, loads and loads of people with parasocial relationships who want to be near her and close to her, and then dealing with the graphers and dealing with the general insanity of, appealing to young kids and stuff like that. I can't imagine what her life is like. What are you Team Ripley here or what?
I'm a complete hypocrite now when it comes to this stuff. I am Team Ripley. It's crazy to me. I want to just say the fact that we're in France, it's maybe a little bit different, because like Fanatics Fest isn't in France. They don't do a ton of public appearances. So I understand a little bit the desperation to sort of get near these people, because like you don't have the access that like we have. And forget the United States, but in the tri-state area portion of the United States, where, I mean, you could easily see these WWE stars more often than you see your relatives if you want to. They are everywhere. But it's wild behavior. Have I been a rabid zombie in my life? I'm absolutely. If videos of me out there ever went viral, I would look as bad as these people. But I mean, I'm not. I'd rather be a hypocrite than just be delusional. And like, it looks bad. It is bad. It didn't look like, I mean, the only hair I could split here is that it didn't look like they really pushed her against the door. She was kind of standing there and heavily surrounded. Perhaps the video missed the part where she was actually being like, the crowd was like pushing into her, really. But absolutely, you're a 20-something-year-old woman trying to find your Uber. That's not acceptable. You should not have to deal with that. And it just, to me, seems more just crazy and just like head scratchery, in the sense that Rhea Ripley, when she does these signings, gives you like the greatest experience you can ask for. If you're someone that wants a close pose, she'll do it. She signs everything nicely. Like, this isn't like Leo DiCaprio that you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to have another chance. Literally, that I got to act crazy. This is someone that when you approach her the right way at a signing is going to give you the greatest experience ever.
Yeah. Did I actually tell you I had a weird thing happen this week where I had a very close encounter. What could be considered with a celebrity that happened this week?
No.
So me and a couple of coworkers, we went to Fire Island on Thursday for dinner, and we were on the Ocean Beach ferry out of Bayshore. My coworker, who's very, very into reality shows, we were sitting there, there's a few of us, and she goes, "Oh my God." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "That person the next to us waiting for the ferry is Gabby Windy from the Bachelor, who is also on the show The Traitors." I don't know if you watch The Traitors on NBC Peacock. But she was there, and then also her wife Robbie Hoffman, the comedian, was also there on waiting to get on the ferry. So she's like, what do we do? Because she was afraid. We were afraid of you ask for pictures before you get on the ferry, and then they say no. Now you're trapped on the ferry with these people. The ferry's not that big. So we had a whole plan of attack where we got on the ferry. The whole time they were like 3 seats away from us on the ferry the entire ride. And then we kind of waited to near the end as we were getting off the ferry. And I didn't get the picture because I'm not a fan of The Bachelor. It was not the right vibe, but my coworker got the picture. They were super cool. They were super nice. They were delighted, but it was the kind of situation where you're stuck in a small space with someone, who from TV. And it definitely created an interesting vibe for the ride.
This just shows that you are not a professional grapher, because being trapped on a ferry is like the absolute best breakdown ever. You would have the entire ferry into it.
Yeah, I felt weird about the whole thing. I didn't want to make it into a whole scene. My coworker was delighted. She got the pic. She got the op. It was great. They were actually unbelievably nice, like overly nice. Like they were at the thank you for recognizing us level of nice. And as it turns out, what we found out when we got to the restaurant on Fire Island, we found out that Robbie Hoffman actually had a show on Fire Island. That's why they were there. So I didn't even realize. We didn't know. It was totally just weird coincidence. So there you go. Next, we also had another Wicked Ink Wednesday, another successful one. There was some cool stuff. My post got a decent amount of traction. I was kind of happy. I finally posted my Kids in the Hall custom Funko 5-pack signed by all 5 kids in the hall. That was that really is a dramatic saga, that whole thing, because I had only ever met the kids in the hall separately from each other all over at their individual comedy shows. They were doing a show in San Francisco, a reunion at the only reason I knew that this is a very weird thing. I don't know if you remember this. We were at what was the show in Jersey that they canceled this year? The altered reality show.
Contropolis.
We were at Contropolis, and what's her face was there. The girl who played Cora, Janet Varney, was there. And I happened to be wearing a Kids in the Hall shirt, just totally randomly. And so Janet Varney, who's like super, super nice, she's like, you like Kids in the Hall? I'm like, I'm obsessed. I've loved Kids in the Hall since I was a teenager in high school. She's like, well, I'm one of the producers of San Francisco Sketchfest. They're doing a reunion this year at Sketchfest. I'm like, no, that's impossible. She's like, no, I am. They are. And so we were talking a little bit about that. I'm like, I have to find a way to do this. So I actually flew to San Francisco just for the Kids in the Hall reunion. It was a completely unhinged trip. That was like a year or so ago. I got the Kids in the Hall. So I had this window to get an item for these guys, and I already had 8x10s, and I had like posters of them and stuff. I wanted something unique, so I commissioned a Funko designer to first make me a box, because I needed the box first, send me the box early, and then put me. I was on a 1.5-year waiting list for the actual Funkos themselves. And so she made me my box. I brought the box, which, by the way, a Funko 5-pack box folded is gigantic. I was actually nervous that it was going to get wrecked in my carry-on. That's how big it was.
I was going to say, that's the most unhinged part of this entire story, is that you flew with a 5-pack Funko box.
Well, it was flat. It was flat. And that was, but I had like a lot of protection around it. It was a fiasco. But yeah, I brought it there. I got them all to sign it. They had no idea what it was, obviously, because it was a flat box. But then I not that long ago, the customizer came through and sent me the Funkos. She did it. I mean, as you can see in the photo, she did an amazing job of those. I picked like the 5 characters of theirs that I find them the funniest, basically the most toyetic, if you will, and yeah, that's how I have that. So it's obviously a 1 of 1. Another one does not exist, and it's pretty cool.
The joke would have been on them if they all signed this like long box with a giant window, and it turned out to just be like a box for a giant dildo or something.
Somehow, as soon as you said the joke would have been on them, I knew that was the direction you were going to go in. So
it was the only direction to go. So I mean,
what else? Ira put he had his WWE poster from that New York City signing that had like insane big names on it. I didn't go to the signing. Did you?
I didn't, but during like back before COVID, like completely like spiked everything, I got a personalized. Of course, Trish had to personalize it to whoever the hell the fan was, but I picked one up for like maybe it was like 1 and change. It's an 11x17 signed by Austin, Triple H, Michaels, Nash, Flair, Goldberg, and Trish. And there's another version out there with like Brock and I think Shelton and Charlie Haas, Kurt Angle, whatever. This one was a lot more common. To me, it's one of the sickest pieces like around. Like think about that. Everyone, maybe Trish is probably the odd man out, but she's pretty good. It's sick. And Ira posted that. Whenever I see one of those, I pop for it.
Was that one of those free signings?
It was WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 20 weekend, I want to say.
Oh, so ages ago. Okay.
Yeah, that was during the time where I was like high school age, early college, I guess. Wait, WrestleMania 20 was 2004. So yeah, I was like a junior turning senior in high school. I was not actively doing signings at that point for whatever reason. So that wasn't even on my radar. I never heard of it. But I can only imagine what the line would be today for a free signing featuring those guys.
Oh, I can't even. Yeah, it's unfathomable. And then Nicholas, he had a 3-pack of the Montreal Screwjob, the classic Superstar 3-pack, signed by Brett and Sean. But it was also kind of unique, and it was also signed by Earl Hebner, and I popped for that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line where adding someone like not necessarily part of a figure is like a gain and like a benefit to the piece, and this was absolutely one of those times. And he also did one different color for each signature, so you have 3 colors on it. It looks perfect, absolutely. Like it's one of those things that even if you're not a fan of wrestling or you look at it, it looks like aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, just it was very cool. I popped for it big. So there have been a couple of kind of crazy major con announcements this week. I guess we'll start out with the big ones. New York Comic Con decided to just drop and unleash a whole host of crazy names. So the first was not that crazy. They dropped Joe Pantoliano. Look, as he gets older, he's a huge name from The Sopranos, from The Matrix, from The Goonies. I mean, those are 3 massive franchises, and he always kind of plays the same sort of role in all of them. But I mean, who does not want to, be in the presence of Ralph Cifaretto? Am I right?
Oh yeah, Joey Pants is a legend.
And then after that, I mean, but the other 2 names are just shocking. So making his U.S. Con debut is Lawrence Fishburne. And making her, I mean, I think she's only done 1 or 2 other cons in the U.S. Is Sigourney Weaver. And so you have those 3 massive names. Then they added from the Marvel Netflix universe, Kristen Ritter, who was Jessica Jones, and Mike Coulter, who was, oh God, what the hell is the character name? Luke Cage, thank you. They also added the voice actors of Phineas and Ferb, and they also added K-pop Demon Hunters. So I don't even know how to put into words what New York Comic Con is going to be like.
New York Comic Con is King Kong at this point. I said that I posted this on the group the day that Sigourney was officially announced, and I'm standing by that. The last 2 years, especially, in my estimation, there is not a show around. I mean, think about it. Sigourney Weaver, Lawrence Fishburne, the Marvel, these names right here could headline an entirely separate show. They could have made New York Comic Con 2, left what they already did alone, and they would have had a top 5 con of the year just on those names. You have 2 names that are completely rare, significant in terms of culturally significant. They've had roles that are huge. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. There was a time there prior to COVID where New York Comic Con was phoning in the paid appearances. They didn't need them to sell tickets. They still don't. But clearly there's been some change in their philosophy, and they want to be a destination where like sort of the impossible happens, where they will bring people out that you don't see everywhere else. It's ridiculous. These are massive names. I mean, even going down to the bottom of this list, those K-pop Demon Hunters, that's one of those things on Netflix that I'm seeing a lot of like buzz about that. I haven't watched it, and there's a good chance I won't, but it's popular with some demographic out there. Like, that's big. Phineas and Ferb is going to do well. The Marvel stuff, I mean, if people are going to pay Charlie Cox's high price, I mean, you might as well go all in. If you're getting him, you might as well get them all.
Yeah, I mean, Coulter's been around more. Ritter hasn't. And I think you get some dual stuff going with them.
Yeah. The one surprise for me is Sigourney Weaver. Obviously, they completed that little Aliens reunion with the group photo up. But you have Annie Potts. Like, I thought for sure when you made the bold prediction of Sigourney Weaver, I was sure they would sort of hit Aliens and Ghostbusters on the group ops. And as of now, they have not added one with Potts, which is a little strange. I wouldn't have gotten it regardless. The problem is,
who are they going to add?
I mean, you have 2 right there, a team up. Even if you sell 20 of them, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, Gozer and what's her face, Janine, were never even on screen at the same time. Yes, they're in the same movie, but that's such a tenuous connection.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess some cons would put like, they don't even care how like, connectionless the pairing is. They will still just trot them out. I guess Sigourney will be taking enough photos where they don't need an extra group up. That doesn't really mean much.
If they were able to drag out Rick Moranis for a Sigourney Weaver Rick Moranis duel, I go crazy. That would be special.
I have to assume they are done in any meaningful way. I'm not holding my breath. I was a little bit hopeful that Chris Pratt, who's in the building for a panel, would be talked into doing some paid stuff, because from what I've been hearing, he's increasingly weird out and about, so he just doesn't want to do it, I guess. I'm not holding my breath for anything more besides like the little like filler type, ebbs and flows of cancellations and ads and whatnot. I think the top of the card is locked in.
I can't believe the top of the card is as good as it is. This is the craziest lineup I've ever seen. It's hard to even articulate. To have Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver can headline any con anywhere in the world at any time. As peak a con guest as you can possibly get.
And they got her for 2 days.
Yeah.
Not even one of those little BS one day like Kevin Costner, where they are on site for like 3 hours and they leave. Like, no. She's doing 2 days. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to get into
I mean, Fishburne, people have been requesting and begging for him for forever, for years, for as long as I've been doing cons. And so to finally get him out, and, Fishburne's an interesting one because, for the longest time, he had kind of a character actor, small time sort of reputation. Then The Matrix came and it's like, boom, now he's Morpheus, right? Now he's like this sci-fi legend. And then he transitions to a sitcom star with Blackish. And so the guy at this point is so much bigger than he's ever been. And now he's doing cons,
Like for me, whenever I think Lawrence Fishburne, I always go to just his role as Furious in Boys in the Hood. Like that is what I see him as. Like I think you already know this, but I'll blow the listeners' minds. I have never seen The Matrix in full. It was played once in a college class that I was in, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was half paying attention. I really didn't see it in full. Much like, and I still feel like this can't be real, but I still I would put a gun to my head and swear by this. In 11th grade social studies, my social studies teacher played the class Fight Club. And I don't know how that would have been possible because it's not school appropriate. She was a new teacher. I can't, it makes me think I can't be right, but I'm 99% sure I was right. And that one I didn't pay attention to either.
I mean, Fight Club is not just an R. That's like a hard R.
Maybe she was fast forwarding through stuff. Maybe she had like a major TV version. I don't know.
I mean, I don't even. There are significant moments that are hard R moments, like significant.
All I know is I skipped class that entire week and I played basketball in the gym. So maybe I thought it was Fight Club and it was something else. Who the hell knows? But in any case, Lawrence Fishburne is really, really a crazy name. And he's one of those people on the street. If you do this, like the street stuff, he was not easy. He's probably, I think he's got to be top 10 most difficult if you're really going to compile a list. So this is going to get the people off the street in. This is not just something for paid people. This is collectors in general need this guy.
And then Monster Mania Oaks, they added Vincent D'Onofrio, and then they've been hyping an announcement coming this Tuesday. You said that you have a pretty good guess as to who it is, and I think you're right, but this is just our speculation. Yeah,
they're hyping a guest on Tuesday, much like Big Event New York with the Chill Out. Tuesday is going to be a big day for announcements, and they stressed it'll be extra special, and the extra is spelled with a capital X. I think it's going to be the return of David Duchovny to this whole like East Coast region. I saw he's on some schedule in Texas, I believe. He's starting to pop back up again. And he hasn't been around. I don't personally need him, but he hasn't been around since COVID around here. Massive draw, awesome name. Much like a lot of what they're doing in Oaks this time around, it's not for me, but I mean, I will not sneeze at a David Duchovny ad.
No, I mean, Duchovny's one of those guys. He's a TV legend. He's a sci-fi legend. He just hasn't done in recent years that many things. He did New York Comic Con once or twice. He's done a couple shows here and there. He hasn't been around in years, and so he's inarguably a huge ad if he actually comes in. Unless Monster Mania books like the cigarette smoking man or something like that from X-Files. Let's see. Chiller Theater has a couple more ads this week. I'm going to name some of them, not all of them, because some of them I don't even know who they are. But they added Kathy Moriarty, who always does well. They added Miki Sudo, who is the women's hot dog eating champion. And so now you can get, I guess, both genders of hot dog eating champions at Chiller. And they also added Stephen Ogg, who actually I really want. He's a voice actor from Grand Theft Auto. He's been Walking Dead. He's been a whole bunch of stuff. But he's always seemed to like cancel cons that I've been at, so I'm actually pretty stoked about that.
I need Og. I deeply regret making my Tammy Sitch joke last week when this would have been the much better week for it. I didn't envision a female hot dog eating champion being added. It'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of funny and cool if they did like a photo op with like a foot-long hot dog that like you would have like, you know, the man and the woman taking a bite on opposite ends and you're kind of like in the middle like of the hot dog. I think it's all cool. I'm not going to get Chestnut or the woman. I never even heard of the woman because, you know, I'm not starting a hot dog eating collection. But that's the kind of fun little thing you kind of expect for Chiller. Like this, like I imagine Chestnut's local. It makes sense.
Absolutely, but I think Og is a great name. I think Moriarty is a great name. So Chiller's doing well. What you do, Westchester? I've never been to that show.
Yeah, that's the show that Sokol and I did last year. The Westchester Tattoo Horror Con up at the White Plains, whatever the hell that place is called, the White Plains. You know that building in White Plains. I forget the actual name of it. But last year they had a nice little assortment of like the B and the C horror names that I just hadn't gotten around to getting. And I kept thinking, oh, this is like, a perfect show for Bonnie Aaron's The Nun. And they're going to do all these like the little girls from the Annabelle movies are starting to make the rounds at the lower tier shows. And I was a little excited about this show. I'm like, okay, they're going to book all these little like names maybe that I need. And they added a little bit of a Cloverfield reunion, which is kind of fun because Cloverfield I did like. I remember I saw that in theaters. It was a fun watch. But now they've gone down some. It looks like they're leaning more on the tattoo end than the horror end, and they're going with like a like C-level, B-level SOA Sons of Anarchy reunion. And I have no interest in that. They aren't even getting the ones that I need on that poster. So as of now, Westchester Tattoo Horror Con is not drawing me in, but hopefully it changes. Yeah.
And we had already mentioned this at the top of the show that Chill Out is adding a big guest on Tuesday, so we'll hear that. They also added Lisa Rodriguez from next Friday. I liked Friday. Next Friday I can do without, so that's a pass for me. But how about you?
Yeah, probably a pass for me, but I'll tell you who's not a pass for me, and that's the name they are announcing on Tuesday. So definitely keep your eye glued to the socials. And I'm sure I don't share every guest announcement from every show, but much like Sigourney Weaver, Tom's Tuesday announcement will get a good old Shareski into our group.
Steel City added Ron Perlman, the ever delightful, friendly, and accommodating Ron Perlman, to their December show. And they also added Malin Ackerman. They're doing this the Sons of Anarchy thing, so it makes sense to get Perlman in. Nothing really to say about it. And still no needle is being moved for our, to get us there. And I'm totally okay with that.
I think if anything, the needle's moving the opposite direction, which I'm actually happy about. But Ron Perlman, if you're a fan of Sons, you got to get that trio up. That's one of my favorite ops. And, you got to do it.
Rhode Island adds Frank Grillo. I just saw
Frank Grillo.
I just saw him on a show. What's he on now? I just saw. What the hell was I watching the other day with Frank Grillo? Peacemaker. He's on Peacemaker now.
Oh, so, yeah. I have Frank Grillo, so I don't have to like preemptively do anything, but I do have to watch Peacemaker. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy that.
Oh, Peacemaker is fantastic, but Frank Grillo is kind of a generic face in everything he's in.
Hold on, I take this back. I actually do care about Frank Grillo. Crap, I forgot he was in the Purge movies.
Oh, I never saw the Purge movies.
Oh, I love the Purge. I might do a poster print on one of the Purge movies. I might get Frank Grillo at Rhode Island.
Well, that's certainly escalated quickly.
Listen, it's like the first time in the history of this show I've ever definitively been like, I don't care about this person. And now I've changed course. I probably won't. We'll see. I got to see his pricing. I got to see what my budget's like by then.
So if they canceled him from Rhode Island and moved him to Steel, would that move the needle for you?
No. I already have him. I would just I think I'd send in to somewhere before I would do that for just an autograph.
And then we had Photo with Friday again this week. A few really cool ones. You had Vin with Harvey Keitel. I love Harvey Keitel. It was a great shot. Bobby had a cool one with Liev Schreiber, along with a cool story that went with it, where his kids are playing with Liev Schreiber's kids, some crazy thing. It's fun. Again, kind of being in the right place at the right time. And Chris Collector with Jerry Adler, who is gone. So 3 awesome shots. Keep them coming for Photo with Friday. I would love to see them continue. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, good or bad, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out Autograph Collecting community on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised, that should be event, product, or brand. I don't know what the hell I said. Advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio. Please reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Also, if you are listening every week, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or all 3. And make sure you leave a rating and or review. You can leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify. You can leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment on YouTube. All of that is appreciated. let's get to the main topic. So it was brought up, and we had talked about it before, just between us, and it was brought up by Marcus on the Facebook group. So we started, kind of thinking about that we were going to talk about that this week. So just, I don't know if everyone is aware, but in the aftermath of Hulk Hogan's death, one of the things that happened was naturally his online store didn't shut down right away. There were lots of sales were made on his online store. And then after, I don't know the exact timeline, but after a period of time, they took everything offline and they put up a note that says, obviously orders are rushing in with the death of Hulk Hogan. Please give us a little time to catch up. And then a couple of days went by, and all of a sudden, a wave of order cancellations went out for people who had bought signed items. And the claim was that these items were out of stock in those cancellation emails. Then those items were then relisted on the site at higher prices than when people had purchased them before. Did I get the story right?
You got the story right.
Okay, so there's been some discussion now, a multi-pronged discussion. First, about sort of the ethics of this, whether this is something they should have done, should not have done, whether this is an acceptable practice. So let's start there first, because you and I land on different sides of this coin a little bit. I think that this is just incredibly foolish, short-sighted behavior that is going to not only cost them money it costs them goodwill, and it costs them money in the end, long term. But I think fundamentally that when you agree to purchase something, and especially when they take your money, then that constitutes an agreement that really should not be violated. What do you think?
Ethically, it absolutely should not happen. I have definitely at some point in my formed, since we've been marked out collectibles, I have not, and I don't think I would. But like when I was just selling stuff solo, I think it happened once or twice where something sold before I was able to pull it, and I absolutely canceled and then relisted for what I wanted to sell it for, because you don't want to get burned, and especially with something like Hogan's Beach Shop, where this is their gravy train, and it jumped the tracks, and they're pretty much done as far as hopefully done as far as getting more. I understand that you don't want to sell stuff at a price like that, but I mean, when you are a company with a brand in social media that you can be dragged and exposed and all that stuff, you really can't operate like that. Like, you have to either pull it quicker, you got to price it higher as a baseline that you'd be comfortable losing it at that price in the event that, the person dies or gains some insane notoriety overnight. But yeah, I mean, I can't defend it, but I think I understand the urge more than you perhaps do.
I don't understand the urge. I mean, the goal when you are running a retail operation is to sell things. That is the goal, right? And what the death of Hulk Hogan did was it increased the demand for his signed items. So something people need to understand is that most items, I'm not going to say all, but most items on the beach shop were already priced above market rates, right? Already. I mean, the figures, the boots, the trunks, the weight belts, those signed items were already they were already priced probably 25% higher than what you would pay on the secondary market already.
The figures, I think I would disagree, but I mean the other stuff for sure.
I don't know. I told you what I paid for a Hulk Hogan signed Elite.
Yeah, but that's the exception, not the rule. I
don't think it was. I think if you did a little bit of homework and you paid attention to the market, Hulks were not hard to find cheap at all. I showed you the picture the other day. I had the Hogan Hall and Nash. What is it? It's 16 by 20 signed that I got from High Spots for under 200. I got the Hogan Elite under 100. Yes, they're not average price, but certainly if you shop around a little, you could have found that stuff. I mean, the beach shop was largely there was never a steal on the beach shop.
But the figure in question, the original buyer, who we spoke to, by the way, we reached out to him just to get the story completely accurate. He paid $2.25 for it, like the day he died. I would argue with what he charges in person, if you want that peace of mind of a beach shop cert, that you're not having to trust if it's a good sticker, a real sticker, whatever. I don't think $2.25 is bad.
No, I think it's bad. Reasonable. It's full retail. That's It's full value. It's a discount. It's a bargain. So, but here's the thing: they had this stuff sitting around. This stuff. It's not like they were selling through all of their stock every month. This is not bargain basement stuff. They had a lot of back stock. Okay, so now they're going to be sitting on this stuff priced very high.
Well, here's the reality. We don't know how much backstock they had. The Clearwater store recently was hit with that hurricane. There was a lot of stuff floating that was obviously thrown away. I don't know how much. I assume they have a lot of backstock, but we don't know for sure. And I think for them also, I think any hope or prayer they have of staying in business long term without Hulk is sort of hinging on people coming in to gawk and think, oh, I'm going to buy a Hulk Hogan autograph. And they'll see it's whatever price it'll be, $600-700, and they will walk away without that Hulk Hogan autograph. But then there's going to be a tourist the next day having that same feeling. And if they sell out of everything this week, or the week he died, keeping it priced to move, I don't think they wanted it all to move.
I just need to be very clear. They don't have a chance at staying in business. The chance is zero. It's not possible. Because what is the draw? Getting people into the building is not enough. They have to be spending money. Spending money on what? There's nothing to buy anymore.
T-shirts.
Right? No one's buying that. When they were selling $30 t-shirts. No one's buying that. They will be out. They will be under. Unless, and this is the ugly side of this that I imagine a lot of people are thinking, but very few people want to say, unless the beach shop turns heel, brother. What do you think the possibility is of that happening?
Well, before we delve into that, I want to read the beach shop's statement, which wasn't a statement, it was an email. But the guy who had the item canceled and then saw it relisted messaged them. And the beach shop response, I don't know if this is from Ron, because I believe the crop seems to take away the part that says the name. But it says, we are receiving items from outside trusted vendors we've signed with in the past, and the cost has gone up. That kind of sets the stage for the heel turn, in the sense now they're saying how they would be open to getting stuff from other places. In this case, I think what they're selling for $700 is the exact item they were selling for $225. I don't buy that it came from anywhere. I just think they want to jack up the price. But this sort of sets the stage. You can already see how they would start spinning that. What is an outside trusted vendor? I mean, I could find one, with the initials TE that have a lot of Hogan pieces. Do we consider that an outside trusted vendor? Where do they sort of draw the line, assuming there is a line, to keep Hogan autographs on the shelf, or, things that appear like Hogan autographs?
I can't stress this enough. This is why, and I know we're going to go off the rails here for a second, but this is a perfect example of the myth of the American small business owner. Okay, a lot of people, our politics loves to lionize these people and put them up as, valuable contributors to our society. This is a perfect example of that mythology, because anyone with half a brain looks at their business model and says, okay, show's over. Liquidate, wrap it up, and get out of your lease, because you can't sustain it moving forward. Your cash cow has died. That's it. The premise, and tell me if I'm wrong here, the premise that they're going to source Hulk Hogan autographs wholesale from other vendors, bring them to a branded Hulk Hogan store, and then sell them at full, whatever the new full retail they imagine it to be, and use that as a sustainable business model moving forward, is so laughable that if I were their the person, their landlord, right, collecting their payments every month for their rent, I would just non-renew them at the end of the term, knowing that there's literally no way to sustain that moving forward. It's actually such an asinine, stupid plan that it's shocking. It's not shocking because the guy's an idiot, but it's shocking that anyone with half a brain would write that email. And so a lot of times we like to think that a business owner, by virtue of the fact that they're a business owner, must be like smart or capable or like just have a basic sense of income minus costs equals profit, just the sort of basic understanding of that. And then you see what this idiot is willing to put in writing, and you go, oh Jesus, that this is not something that's sane, that any person with half a brain would actually sign on to. So I am not shocked that email went out, because I am never shocked by these things, but I am sort of mortified that it did, knowing that there's a good chance there's two possibilities. Either he's lying or they are sourcing from outside sources, in which case we're going to start getting fakes being sold from the beach shop.
I think it could be option 3, where he is lying completely about that and he will just create his own fakes. If we're going to be completely honest, I could see it going in that direction. I mean, on a humorous level, had we done our deal and had we been sitting on, 125 pieces right now, if that whole spin was accurate, this could have been how we made it all profitable. We could have sold it back to the beach shop now. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is absurd.
Do you think Ron is paying $100 wholesale for Hulk Hogan?
I wonder if Ron would respect the new price chart that the trusted vendors would put in place.
I would bet a limb that he's not paying $100 wholesale. Because the whole thing is so transparently stupid, it's hard to even talk about it seriously. The stores should go. They should wind the way these things work. When you have a restaurant and the chef who created it dies, maybe do a tribute, wind down, get out of your lease. You can't sustain it. Okay. When you have the Hulk Hogan beach shop that's selling Hulk Hogan merchandise, whose backbone is selling autographed stuff online and in store, and the source for online the source for autographed stuff has now permanently disappeared. The answer is that's it. It's over. The business is over. And so realistically, let's just say this plays out the way that you're hypothesizing. And keep in mind, this is pure speculation. There's been no accusation that these guys are forging anything. The only accusation I'm making is that they're morons. And that I'll stand by. They're idiots. There's no accusation that they're forging anything.
Correct.
But if this plays out the way that you hypothesize it could play out in the future, that these idiots do wind up forging things or buying forgeries from people like Control Center or whatever, what does that do to the wrestling autograph market in general?
I mean, it would take a whole extra like COA sticker and sort of a place of comfort. I mean, a lot of people, and I'm not the only one, you've heard this as well. There's all the rumors out there. People have said, oh, I wonder if all the stuff from the beach shop is really signed by Hulk. By my eye, the stuff I've gotten from the beach shop looks good. I trust it. The sticker of the Hogan beach shop, they were not always the most careful with how they gave those stickers out. So I know there's stickers out there that aren't necessarily stuck to what you bought from the beach shop. So no sticker is perfect. But for the most part, if it came from the beach shop, you kind of trust it. If the hypothesized heel turn would ever happen, and again, no accusations, not saying it happened, no, accusing nothing of happening at this point. But if all of a sudden it would ever be a situation where the Hogan beach shop sticker is not held in high regard, that would sort of cast a shadow over all the Hulk stuff out there now that has beach shop stickers, like the stuff I bought from Rockin with Dan that is 100% good, that was signed with him in the room at the private signing, that has Hogan beach shop stickers on it. The 3-pack that I got Kevin Nash on a few weeks ago, Hogan's beach shop sticker on it. Like all this stuff, and like if all of a sudden there was a second part of the story ever where that sticker meant less, all of it means less. How do you really separate? the good, the early beat shop from the, future beat shop.
I think that, and the problem is whenever you have like this sort of remora like Ron attaching to, someone who's famous, and basically like a who is the guy who attached to OJ? I can't remember his name.
Was it Kato Kalin?
Kato Kalin, yeah. It's the same kind of thing where you have someone who's like a hanger-on. When they make their whole living hanging on to someone like that, it's very, very hard to cut off the gravy train. We see that with all these vendors or these wrestling autograph vendors who came up through COVID. They fancied themselves brilliant businessmen because they were making money hand over fist when people were getting government bailout checks, right? They're geniuses. They were collecting all this money. And then once the autograph market adjusted, once the wholesale pricing adjusted, and they could no longer acquire stuff at the price that they acquired it at, and then they could also no longer sell it at the margins they were selling it at, they all of a sudden they started resorting to buying China fakes and laundering them through their Facebook Lives and stuff. So it's the same concept, right? That these guys are not smart, they're not accomplished, they're not thinking of a business model that's genuinely sustainable. They're not adaptable. And so when something like this happens, like the death of Hulk Hogan, a nitwit like Ron will do a nitwit type thing, which is, well, let me jack up the price. But I can tell you this, no one's buying these figures for those prices. Why would you? The prices have come down to earth elsewhere.
I'm on the website right now. The one that the guy got canceled for $2.25 was the Hulkamania Will Live Forever figure with that banner. And maybe he got some heat from the $750 and changed the price. Right now, he has two that, to my eye, look the same. They both have an HOF inscription. They're both in red paint. All I could think is maybe the box is better on one. They don't make it clear why it's different. One is $450. The other is $550. And as anyone that listens to this show knows, I've been on a bit of a frenzy of buying Hogan stuff. And I also am known to spend money foolishly and buy things that are probably, that I shouldn't buy and I don't really need. I'm not tempted at either price. I'm not. I could see not wanting to sell out at your stock at $225. I could see that. The smart play would have been, I guess the smart play is not canceling orders when you are an established company. You take you take that on the chin and you try to jack up the rest. I would have put these at like $350, $375. That would have been a rate that maybe you sell a couple. But these prices, they are not moving. No one's paying $550 for a regular Elite that before he died, no one wanted to even be released.
Yeah, they're just not moving at that price. They're just not. They're not moving at that price. There's no other way to say it. They're not moving at that price. I'm looking at sold items on eBay right now. A Fanatics, an Elite Fanatics Hulk went for $250 with a Fanatic sticker on it. Okay, there are beach shops. What's so funny is there's a beach shop Ultimate Hogan that went on eBay for $197. So where I don't think the money is there. There's too many of these things out in the wild. By the way, there are tons of Hogan's on eBay with the beach shop sticker, with Ron's handmade COA. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have.
They all go for about $200.
Listen, looking for Hogan autographs is one of my nightly routines. And I see, by the way, that authentic Through the Mail Pile Driver album I sent you. It's sold. It's sold for $300. I
think $300 was a great price for it.
I was tempted by it. I'm actually a little annoyed it's sold, but then I'm like, I don't really need this thing. But
yeah, I don't know what these guys are thinking, but I do know that they're going to be sitting on this stuff if they don't price it to move. There's just too much out there. There's just too much in existence, right? Price is a function of scarcity and demand. It's not just one or the other. It's both. It's a curve based on those two axes, right? That's how you calculate price. So when you see someone who goes, well, the supply is gone, they must, or the demand is high, It should be the demand is high. The demand is high, therefore the the price has to go through the roof. That is not borne out by the reality of the fact that there is an absolute ton of this stuff out there, an absolute ton of it.
Oh, by the way, your 16 by 20, except it's not from High Spots. This one's a TriStar COA, sold for $779.
Mine has, I think, PSA Witness, I think, on it, or something like that.
But yeah, $779. But no, I don't understand what they're doing. I think, like you said, it's really a person that lacks intelligence and business savvy trying to do the best they can on a sinking ship. And I understand it. I want to, again, just echo, I made zero accusations. I am just saying that when you look at a situation like this, with all the reasons you pointed out as to why this business is probably not going to survive much longer, I would be very cautious to see, and I would proceed with caution with whatever the next steps in the beach shop model are, because you have a person here who's obviously desperate to keep their business open, and I mean, you can, without making accusations, ways that they could perhaps do that, or to attempt to do that. So don't just blindly trust like maybe you would have, a year ago.
Right. And every month that they're paying rent on these buildings is money going out the door for nothing.
Yep. Refunds. This guy's $225. That's money out of their account.
Yep.
God knows how many other refunds they gave out for these cancellations. When these refunds don't come back in overpriced sales of the same stuff, that's just money lost that they're scrambling and scratching and clawing to get back.
Crazy. So we'll be following this. If they're still in business in a year, we'll have to have a serious conversation about what's going on. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Even if they have a treasure trove of inventory of signed stuff, I mean, the way they're pricing it, I can't imagine it's flying off the shelves. So right. I agree with you.
All right, great. So what's coming up for us in the near future? We have Charlie Sheen on the 19th. That's coming up soon. Are you still pumped?
Oh, yeah. Fast approaching.
Is your tiger blood flowing?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm winning already.
Of course, New York Comic-Con is going to really occupy a lot of our time in the upcoming months. And, we haven't even done our Comic-Con hype show, nor will we for about a month, right?
Yeah. I don't want to. I feel like with Fanatics Fest, we did a couple too many. Like we thought we were done, then we hyped again. I think one hype is the sweet spot. So we got to get as close to the Comic-Con before we talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And then we also have Reese Witherspoon coming up in October, which is going to be it's going to be great. I'm excited for that as well.
You are going to hate every second of that, and you're going to be so miserable after Comic-Con weekend when you got to traipse in again on that Monday. But I too am excited.
It's going to be she's going to do it before the show, right?
It's funny you think that.
We're going to get our ops before the show, and then we're going to leave. That's the plan. That's what I'm putting out into the universe.
It's going to be after the show. You are going to violently snore from the first row while she's doing it, and then you'll leave.
If it's after the show, we should take wagers as to how many minutes into the show will lapse before I fall asleep.
Well, the problem is you can control your sleep. Like, you would just fall asleep at your mark. So
that's true. It's not a fair wager, I guess. And of course, October also has Chiller and Chill Out. And all this has the backdrop of the fact that we have 4 guests coming into the big event in November. So this fall is crazy for us. I don't have any other way of saying, if you're not paying attention to social media and you're not noticing that posts by and about Jackson Drake and Swipe Right have a lot more social media play than they did almost a year ago when we first started working with these guys. And if you haven't noticed that, then you're not paying attention.
Are we taking credit for this rise? Is this all us?
I am not in any way taking credit, but what I will say is if you want to meet these guys at a price that is reasonable, and you can be one of those people who says, I got so-and-so before they hit it big, I think big event is pretty much your last chance. I don't know any other way to say it. I mean, I don't know. Again, obviously we are more plugged into the whole WWE ID universe than pretty much almost anyone besides Gabe Sapolsky. But you may have seen in the news, and we didn't talk about this on the show yet, that a couple of WWE ID roster members were cut. So they cut Aaron Roberts, Ice Williams, and Jordan Oasis. If I'm being honest, I liked Jordan Oasis. I thought he was really solid in the ring. Aaron Roberts, to me, is a monster heel in the making. I think he has a lot of tremendous characteristics and just needs more time. And I think Ice just needs more time as well. But with the ID roster being dwindled, that suggests that the ones who remain will continue to be not only utilized but featured. And I don't know any other way to say it.
Yeah, I don't think this is. I actually said something after the release to Aaron. I think the next chapter could be the best chapter, as cliche as that sounds, because he came into this program as this monster heel whose main climax of matches was that he like pulled out this like prison style like shank and would try to stab you. Which, I mean, that's not going to really play well on CW for NXT. So it's not shocking that someone like with that type of a character did not necessarily catch on instantly. He could do a lot of things on the indies. He could go to like a GCW and sort of be that. He could try to figure out a way to, to make that evolve into a more, pun intended, TV-friendly character. Like you said, I think Ice just needs a little bit more time. But beyond that, I mean, it's clear. It's clear that Jackson, Brad, and Ricky are moving to Orlando very soon. It is obvious. Brad and Ricky dropped their tag titles this past weekend to fellow Marked Out Collectibles alumni, the Shooter Boys. I think, again, we're getting the leaves are about to start dropping, and so are the title belts for, the non-WWE companies, because these guys are not going to be able to defend them. And this is it. Big event. And I'm sad. Believe me. I've said this a lot. I'll say it again. I would absolutely love to take these guys on the road, Eric Sims style, drag them out for years to come. But that is the nature of what we are doing. If we're able to take our talent that we are sort of focusing on around for years to come, we are not doing what we're claiming to do very well, because these people we're identifying are not going anywhere. So that's it. With success comes new opportunities. And I hope that, our dealings with them will not stop, but your ability to get a photo op with them for a reasonable price will. So big event that's it. So if you're in the area, if you're in the building, don't be the person in line at Fanatics Fest remembering how you could have gotten them for a fraction of the price, a year ago, 2 years ago. Get them now.
There's really no other way to say it, so I'm not going to say it again. So once again, if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. We do have a couple of signings we can announce. We have a full private signing with mail-ins and print options for Mike Tyson. That's at the big event. We're also taking pre-orders only on metallic prints, so no mail-ins whatsoever. We're taking pre-orders only on metallic prints of Dana's design for Swerve and for Goldberg. Those are now live on markedoutcollectibles.com. We're also going to take mail orders or pre-order prints for Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, and the stunner Emily J. Those are all due in November, and we don't have prints for them yet, but we will soon.
Yeah. I'm working on them, and we'll throw up a couple of the old favorites from the previous signings, because, I mean, people might want them personalized and done to their liking.
But if you have anything to get sent in, it's funny each time, because we've run a few of these with Jackson and with Brad now. each time especially with Jackson, the first time we ran with Jackson was just our stuff. The second time, stuff started getting sent in. The next time, more stuff gets sent in. So I imagine that's going to kind of be the case with these guys that are starting to build a reputation, that more stuff will get sent in. So if you have something for Jackson, again, this is it, November. So I expect them to draw quite well in November based on the pre-orders. We have options. We have options for the VIP. So if you want to do Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes, if you want to get all of them, get combos from all of them. If you buy the VIP package, what that gets you is an extra autograph from each. So you pay the same price as getting combos from all of them, but you get extra autographs. So I think is a pretty sweet deal.
I'll tell you what I would do if I was a fan in this situation. I would take the VIP and I would just sit on that second autograph. I would pick a nice like group shot, sit on that, put in a top loader, which we will have for sale at the table, and you sell that in about a year's time, and you get your money back on the VIP. It's a good way to make it free.
Yep, it's one of those things that that's how you do your business. But I am, yeah. I think that I'm pretty confident that we're gonna have a great time in November, and I'll leave it at that. I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went after a dying business. We didn't talk about chiropractors or pawn shop owners this week, which is nice. Speaking of chiropractors, by next week we might have a little exciting news.
Are you getting your chiropractor's license?
I assumed I already got that when I was in Ohio. The hell have I been doing all this time on my own?
But yeah, I don't want to make that announcement prematurely, just in case. But let's just say that we are in the process of investigating, what marked out radio apparel will look like, and some of the choices that we're making should be amusing to the 3 or 4 people out there who would care about such things. But
marked out radio thongs are coming soon, guys.
I mean, I already have my handmade one, but what a note to end on. So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
I'm Dana.
And we'll see you next week in a Marked Out Radio thong.